Hey rockers, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Thursday. The weekend is almost here again already. Before I get started with another tale tonight, I want to start off by showing you this. The brand new issue of Ear of Corn fanzine out of Springfield, Missouri and Saginaw, Michigan. Thanks to my friend Stan Bowman for always sending me the new issues and of course Food Fortuna. Thank you guys. I appreciate you so much for always keeping me on your mailing list, man. Fanzines still exist, and here's one in my hand. Ear of Corn, Saginaw, Michigan. Hey, man, a lot of you have been asking me to talk about more true stories from my childhood. Not necessarily musical stories or people that I've met, but more personal stuff. So this is going to be one of those videos, and I'm sure, judging by the numbers and the views and the analytics, I probably won't get more than 200 or 300 views, but I like telling these stories because this channel is my book, and this is just another little chapter that would be in my book. We're going to go back to the 4th grade. Yeah, I'm not even sure what freaking year, but it was the 1970s. I was in 4th grade, maybe 9 years old, maybe 10 at the latest. We used to be big pranksters. I was very much a class clown. My friend Tim Brasher from Dunlap, Illinois, he was a class clown too. We would do nothing but get in trouble all the time in grade school because we didn't find the curriculum. We didn't find the curriculum to be anything but boring. And me having ADHD, I was always just, done with everything real quick. And I'd always sit in class with too much time on my hands. Well, one day, we decided we were going to get even with that evil Mrs. Martin, who was actually a really nice lady in retrospect, a very nice teacher and a good teacher. Mrs. Martin, 4th grade. Don't know whatever happened to her, but I'm still here, still alive in 2025. Well, one day we were sitting in class, and I'd already been in trouble many times at school for pranks. I would go to the Joker's Wild in Northwoods Mall in Peoria, Illinois, which was the famous novelty store, and I would get all kinds of stuff, and I've talked about the skunk perfume incident. Well, tonight I'm going to talk about, it's not exactly a firecracker incident, but what I'm going to talk about is something that looks like a firecracker. It's about this long, looks like a firecracker, but on each end it has a long wick about this long, right? Try my best to give you the visuals. So it's a firecracker with wicks at each end, and you can pull it and the thing would just explode, right? And I can't for the life of me remember the name of those damn things. I thought they were jumping jacks, but that's a whole different firework. So it doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant. We'll skip past that stupid little bit of information that's really not necessary. Me and Tim Brasher were deciding to do something obnoxious. He came to school and he had one of those firecracker things. Well, Mrs. Martin had been kind of boring us lately, and we thought, let's kick up a little bit of hell in this classroom as much as a 4th grader can kick up some hell. We did plenty of it because I have plenty of letters that were sent home to my parents, plenty of phone calls, and lots of times where I was grounded or, punished for my behaviors. But it never stopped me from continuing to be a class clown. Like George Carlin's album, Class Clown. That's kind of how I feel still. Nothing like a tongue twister on when you're doing a live recording. I am not editing. I don't use AI. I do one take generally because I do radio, so I just kind of roll with it. Anyway, we get to class one day and Mrs. Martin hadn't come in yet. Most of the other kids were still at recess. We came back in early because we had a devious plan. Well, as devious as you can be for a 4th grader. We weren't evil. We were just obnoxious little pricks. So Tim says, hey man, watch the door in case Mrs. Martin comes, and I'm gonna tie this firecracker onto her desk drawers. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, just watch. So I'm watching the door, watching the hallway. There's a couple people in there. No one's really paying attention. And the ones that were probably thinking, what are these two assholes up to? Well, Tim took the one end of that firework and tied it onto the drawer. It was the kind of desk drawers where a teacher would reach down and just pull open her drawer or two. Well, what he did was he tied one end of the firecracker wick thing to one drawer, and then he tied the other end to another drawer. So in essence, if she didn't see it and did what she normally did, which was reach down and just pull open her drawer without looking, we were going to have a heck of a good laugh. Well, we thought. Anyway, so Tim gets it done, man. I walk over and I look at it and I'm thinking, holy shit, it's too late to back out because here comes Mrs. Martin. So we all got in our seats. All the kids came back in from recess, or maybe it was lunch, but they all came back. Nobody knew what was going on or what was going to happen except for me and Tim, right? Well, Mrs. Martin starts kind of getting into her spiel about what our curriculum is going to be for the afternoon. And me and Tim are over there looking at each other like, uh-oh, anytime now, she's either going to see it and we're going to be, it's going to be anticlimactic, or the whole class is going to be tripping very shortly. Well, it didn't take long, maybe 5 minutes. And all of a sudden, Mrs. Martin went in for the kill. She goes to reach down. She doesn't look. She just knows where the drawer is from opening it constantly, right? So she's leaning down. She goes to open up the drawer. She had a dress on, like a thin dress, summertime cotton dress. And she was right up against that drawer in her chair. And so the dress she was wearing was pretty much touching the drawer. She leans in, pulls it open, and all of a sudden, exactly what we hoped would happen, boom! It was loud. It was like a couple of firecrackers going off at once. And the whole class was like, ah! Everyone freaked out, man. They're all like, what the hell? And all of a sudden, Mrs. Martin is just in shock. And well, the only two people in the class that weren't shocked and that were laughing were me and Tim Brasher, because at that young age, we hadn't learned yet how to be very good at covering up our crimes and, doing obnoxious stunts. Well, Mrs. Martin pretty much scans the room. She's in shock. She looks around, sees me and Tim, and gives us both this evil glare. And I'm like, uh-oh, she knows. We were laughing, and we're trying real hard to stifle our laughs. We're like putting our head on our desks. You know how you used to do when you wanted to laugh or hide your face for whatever reason? You'd put your head on your desk. But it was like this. She noticed us right away, man. We were so busted. There was like 30 people in this classroom. 4th graders, man. Well, Mrs. Martin pretty much tells everyone to settle down. She stands up, looks down at her dress, and there's a freaking burn mark on her dress. It was like a yellow and white dress that I recall, because it was a little traumatizing because I knew what was coming. Lots of trouble. Probably going to get whipped by the principal, because back then they would take yardsticks, put you up against the wall, and just beat you with a yardstick, literally. Sometimes they pull your pants down. That never happened to me. I would have been really angry if that would have happened, and I probably would have taken a pencil and never mind. But anyway, they got us outside, took us to the principal's office. Mrs. Martin had to calm the class down. Everyone was freaking out. She didn't exactly know what was happening because the thing had blown up. She was like, what was that? She knew we were behind it. And at this point, when she called us out, we just had to go along with admitting it, because we were already, little criminals and whatever, but we didn't want to be liars too. Plus, we were busted. So the principal of Wilder-Waite grade school, where this happened, in Dunlap area of central Illinois, Wilder-Waite. Shout out to anybody that went there. That was a fun grade school. Well, Mr. Hutt, Hutt, we used to make up terms like up your butt with Mr. Hutt and stuff like that. Dumb stuff, right? Mr. Hutt was like balding on top. I think he had glasses. He looked kind of like a weasel. He was real tall and skinny, and he was not a guy to mess around with. He was like Mr. Serious, always very much wanting to control. Well, he lost control with me and Tim Brasher, and we didn't know what awaited us. But we got sent down to the principal's office. We ended up getting beat with the yardsticks. He ended up calling our parents, who had no problem with the corporal punishment. And we got sent home. We got suspended, I think. We were told not to come back for a day or two. But Mrs. Martin, to her credit, was really not that angry. She was pissed off about her dress being burned. She was a little bit let down by us, and she kind of went at that angle, and it made us feel bad later. But we did get punished. The dress was burned. The whole school was talking about it, and it really embarrassed the teacher, and it ruined her dress, man. So my parents got called, and when I got home, my dad beat the shit out of me with a belt. Yep, he didn't do that often, but every once in a while, if I crossed a certain line, I could feel it coming, and he'd take his belt, double it up, and just whip the shit out of me for about 5 minutes. What are you going to do, man? You know, back then parents were a lot more strict, and it wasn't quite uncommon for people to be physically abused, basically. I still am a believer that when you do that to people, it doesn't teach them anything except for try not to get caught next time. It never stopped us from doing more pranks. So to this day, I'm totally against kids being physically touched in school by their teachers. And if anyone would have ever done that to my daughter Audrey when I was raising her, or me and Tracy were raising her, there would have been hell to pay, because I wouldn't have never let that happen. But in the 70s, it was a whole different ball game. Hell, people were smoking openly in hospitals, libraries, McDonald's. People would smoke anywhere. Anywhere that people smoked, you would find smoke. So it was a whole different era, right? It was a nightmare. After getting beaten twice, getting humiliated in front of the class because we were all, they're all kind of like, yeah, look at you guys, you're busted. And also having burned poor Mrs. Martin's dress. All you learned was next time, try not to get caught, unfortunately. I've got more stories, by the way, about Mrs. Martin and about that 4th grade class and other pranks I did. But I want to space these kind of stories out because a lot of you rockers don't give two shits about my past or my childhood. But the ones that do really care, and that's who this video is for. I really appreciate you guys, man. Please subscribe to my channel. Maybe give this video a thumbs up. It wouldn't kill you if you did that for me. Just hit that little button, the little thumbs up, and leave a comment and say whatever you want, man. As long as it's not hateful, I will respond. And Mrs. Martin, if by any chance you're still alive or still around, I'm sorry for burning your dress. But it was very hysterical at the time. Still wish I could think of the name of that damn firework. But man, that was just one of the dumb stunts we did as a kid. Not real exciting for all you rockers that want to hear about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But I got plenty of that coming. Trust me. And I got new stories coming soon. Tomorrow, I'm going to see the great Steve Earle and Taj Mahal perform. And I'm hoping to meet those guys. I'm going to report back tomorrow evening, and I'll either have a story or I won't. But I'm pretty sure I'll have at least a story about the shows. Thanks for being here. Have a great upcoming weekend, you guys. I've got some pretty cool surprises coming up for you as far as things I'm going to be releasing, physical merchandise, some pretty cool, neat things I'm going to put out there. And I have listened to you guys about the Gigi Allen Hated in the Nation fanzines, and I've already got plans coming up to re-release those in probably a limited edition. I'm probably going to make maybe 100 sets of those. Hand-numbered, hand-signed, whatever, and I'll probably add another page or two to those to make them more collectible because they were reprinted maybe 2 or 3 times. The last time was 2015, and I only did 50 sets, which I sold for $50 on eBay, and they sold like boom, 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 boom. They were just gone. So the pair was $50 plus postage. Do not know how much it's going to be for the new ones. I got to do the math, figure out how much it costs to print these things. And our economy sucks, if you haven't noticed, so I don't know what the price will be, but I'll figure it out. But I've got other things besides that, including a certain t-shirt and some recordings that I'm going to be releasing on my Fanatic Records label. I'm not going to give any more hints because why blow a surprise, and no one wants a spoiler, right? Soon, more info about that. I'm reaching my 14-minute mark. I'm going to let you guys go. I just wish I had a damn firecracker, but I don't have one. So instead, I'll leave you with Mr. Rogers. There he is, folks.
Doesn't it feel good when you're just about to do something that you know is wrong, and you decide to do something else? Something that won't hurt you or anybody else? Doesn't that feel great?
It does, Mr. Rogers. Thank you so much, and thanks for being in my neighborhood. Yeah, we are a tribe here at Bloody F Mess Official. I got more rock, punk, metal, outlaw country, and curveball stories just around the corner. Stay safe, stay clean, stay healthy, keep rocking.